Hey guys, what's up? It's 412 Sports Cards here today, back with another video, and today I'm coming at you with a buy-sell hold on Mike Trout. First baseball player I've done a buy-sell hold on. Best player in baseball. Figured he was a great place to start, especially with the season starting to come up. It's going to include the cases for the buy, sell, and hold arguments, as I always do, and along with a special play in the buy segment that I think if you're interested in buying Trout, I think is the card I would be targeting. But without further ado, we'll get into it. Some background. Mike Trout. There's no doubt Mike Trout's the best player in baseball, in my opinion. And he has been for the past decade. Since his first full season in 2012, Mike Trout has 3 MVPs. He's come in second place 4 times. And is a Rookie of the Year to his name, too. That means that in his 9 full seasons, he's only missed the top 2 in MVP voting 2 times. That's insane. He has the same amount of MVPs, 3, and the same amount of second places, 4, as Albert Pujols already, and he just completed his age 28 season. So, and Pujols was the best player of the decade before Trout. So the fact that he's already got those numbers is pretty big, especially if he can sustain his greatness. His career slash line, 304 average, 418 on base percentage, and 582 slugging, which is quite good, with 302 home runs to his name too after only his age 28 season. So 500 club easily in range. After just getting into the stats, we'll get into some of the cases. Trout is not this is the buy case. And just before we get into the buy case, I do want to bring this up. Trout is the best player in baseball. But that alone isn't reason to buy, right? For starters, he's totally priced as the best player. Right now, Trout's the PSA 10 of this card is going for about $7,000. That's up from about $3,000 at the start of the year, and that's big money, especially when you consider that Tatis. Oh, and the pop on that is about $5,000 in the PSA 10 with about $5,000 in the BGS pop report. But that $7,000 is a lot more than the $250 Tatis top Series 2 papers go for, and it's a lot more than the $300 that the Soto PSA 10 updates go for. Definitely a lot more. Now that said, this Tatis has a pop of $11,000 in that Series 2 paper in PSA 10, and the Soto has a 15,000 pop on that update PSA 10. And those also have chromes that are highly desirable with that same huge pop, and a ton of other sets, which brings us to buy point number 1. Trout rookies are relatively scarce. In terms of 2011 releases, there's Topps Update, Bowman Chrome, Bowman Draft, Bowman Sterling, and Finest. I know Trout has base rookies in all of those sets. Those are the ones that come to mind. And there could be more, but the point is there are many less releases than there are with Soto and Tatis, and they're lower pop in every single one of those releases. And I know it's not the same as the 86 Jordan, where there's only really one true rookie, but what it does do is it does consolidate that demand. The demand is consolidated into those couple sets. It boosts, I think, the iconic cards like this. There aren't that many different Trout rookie sets. They each have lower pops than they do now. Consolidates demand, which I think is a big buy reason in the short and long run. It lets cards pop short run and sustain their value long run, in my opinion. Brings us to buy point number 2. Trout's in his prime, guys. He's entering his age 29 season. I think people usually say the prime is about 27 to 32. And while much of the market boomed in 2020, Trout boomed too. But I think his results and his prices were hampered by a relatively poor season. He's up about 500% in the past 12 months, which is nothing to scoff at. That's absurd. We're talking on the Topps Update PSA 10. I would be about 300% if you didn't count the last 2 weeks. But LeBron's Topps Chrome PSA 10 is up about 800%, guys. That 300% difference is big, right? That's a big underperformance compared to LeBron. And I think a lot of it's due to the fact that Trout had a bad year last year and LeBron had a great one. With all the issues surrounding COVID, I think I can give Trout a little bit of a pass on this. He didn't even know if he wanted to play. You know, he just had a kid. He was worried about the safety of his wife and his newborn. I think it's a son. But I think that if Trout can show up this year, silence some of the doubters, and really just perform on the field, I think it's going to reinstill a ton of confidence both in the short run price appreciation and legacy building for the long run. I think it'll sustain those support those longer term prices. Buy point number 3, I think there's still preseason hype. I know Trout's cards have ballooned in this Legends boom, but I don't think that means that there's not a preseason hype that can go on. After the Super Bowl, which at the time of this releasing will have already happened, I do think you'll start to see a little bit more money rotate into baseball, a little bit more attention on baseball. It's not my strongest point in the buy case, but it's worth noting. And if you are compelled by the buy case, I would be looking to get the 2011 Topps Finest Refractor rookie card of Mike Trout. It's out of $549. It's got the chrome, it's got the shine, and that the modern hobby is desiring. And it's rare, it's numbered. Hard to beat that. That's where I'd be putting my money if I were a buyer in Trout. I'm already have this, so I don't really want to dump more money into Trout, so I won't be buying it, but I figured I'd give you guys the play, add some value. If you're still with me at this point, really appreciate it if you drop a like, drop a sub, show your support to my channel. You guys have been a ton recently, dropping tons of likes, and I really appreciate it. So keep it up, guys. Thank you. On to the sell case. Sell point number 1. Mike Trout's too risky for his prices. It's key to remember that Trout's age is only 29, and while that comes with upside, he's still in his prime, which means people expect him to perform. And if he doesn't meet those performance expectations, I think his prices, you'll see him take a hit. It's not like LeBron where he could say, okay, after this year, I'm going to hang up my hat. And I don't think prices would get hit that hard just because he already has an incredible resume. Trout's still in the resume building phase of his career. He's not, if he stopped right now, he's not a GOAT of all time. You in baseball especially, I think compiling stats matters, and he still needs to be doing that. He has the same accolades as Pujols right now, and I feel like if he fell off around the same time Pujols did in the next 2 or 3 years, his long-term prices would get hit. They'd get brought down to more Pujols-like levels. Got a Pujols back here. Not to say that Pujols' prices are bad, but they're not what Trout's are. So it's a serious long-term risk. It's a risk you have every year. You gotta hope he keeps performing. Sell point number 2. The issue, Trout has no ring. That's a big deal for long-term card investors. He's no World Series ring. Doesn't appear to be remotely close to one in Los Angeles on the Angels, which makes it feel like his career is being wasted, as much as it pains me to say. And he's under contract through 2030 with the Angels. He wants to be an Angel. I doubt the Angels will trade their franchise player, the best player in baseball. That would seem stupid, but you never know. They have really not been that good. But regardless, it doesn't look like he's getting a ring anytime soon, and that's a long-term threat to his price. A big threat to his long-term prices. I would be very worried about that. Sell point number 3, I'm just concerned about his pricing compared to Griffey. Griffey's another player with no ring, but he's worthy of the comparison. I worry about them. So Griffey is that iconic 1989 Upper Deck rookie. That PSA 9 pops 25,000. It's huge. We know it. It's like junk wax era. Big pops. But the PSA 10's only got a pop about 3,400 or 3,900 it might be. And it goes for about 4K in a PSA 10, which is less money than the Trout goes for, despite the Trout having a higher pop in PSA 10. PSA 10 pop on the Trout's about 5. Price $5,000 goes for about $7,000. The Griffey is a pop about $4,000 and goes for about $4,000. Some of this could be due to the fact that Griffey does have an easily accessible and high pop PSA 9, but it still worries you, right? And I think this is the big issue that I see. In the long run, baseball, there's guys like Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, who are Americana. They harken back to the age of baseball. That's just this Americana and nostalgia of, the America of those periods. They're legends. They're in the lore of baseball. They're in the lore of this country. And I think that really supports their prices. You've Griffey, who every kid growing up in the 90s knew, idolized by a lot of kids growing up in the 90s. He was a swaggy player who people really connected with. And I think that supports his market in the long run. Then you have Trout. He's the same level, I would say, of greatness over the 2010-2020 span as Griffey had in the 90s. But he does not have that same connection with the fans, with the kids. And it really worries me down the road. I wonder, I don't think kids down the road will have the same association with Trout that the kids in the 90s had with Griffey. I know I won't. It wasn't the same. It's not like LeBron, who everyone knows. It's both the fact that he's just a more low-key guy, and the MLB didn't brand him very well, I don't think. But that is a long-term threat that I would be really worried about. Who's the buyers for these 20 years down the road? That's if you're a long-term investor, right? That's not what everybody is. But those are factors I would seriously be considering. That kind of ties into the fourth point, general concern about the health of the baseball market in general. Baseball is declining in America. I worry about what that does to baseball cards in general. But really boils down to when you got guys like Griffey. Also, take a look at this thundercloud. This thing's sick. But when you got guys like Griffey, it really worries me how he's comps compared to Trout. I think Griffey has a lot more sustainable long-term pricing. Hold, not much to say in terms of big ideas, but you got Trout. I'd be holding Trout through to the preseason at least. It would seem foolish to sell right now, just because I think next month there's chance for some price appreciation. Maybe sell then if you're interested in selling. But summary, Trout comes with a lot more upside and downside than most blue chips do. He's a little more risky, and I see significant upside in the short run, but his lack of connection with fans, the long run health of baseball, and just the comparison of him to Griffey really makes me worry about the long-term future of his cards, and I'd be a seller as far as the long run. While for example for Griffey, I'd still be a buyer for the long haul. That was a pretty thorough one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if there's anyone else you want to see coming up on Buy, Sell, Hold. I really could use some recommendations and would appreciate it. Anyways, I'll catch you all next time.